work anymore because now you're sliding into DMs
Yeah,
and no one cares.
much like Depeche Mode.
Yeah. So we had a week off. How are you?
I'm okay. And it's been a weird weekend. Aaron got diagnosed with fibromyalgia on Friday.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah.
Holy fuck.
Yep. So that's
That's
going to be an adjustment, but she's been dealing with it for the last several years. She just never had somebody who would go so far as to say, "Oh yeah, I believe that you actually have a problem,"
yeah.
and let's figure out what it is.
So I guess what are like the symptoms?
It's it's a weird one, and I feel like it's almost in some ways a catch-all for the fact of we don't listen to women.
Uh,
Um, because it's 80 to 90% of the people who are affected by it are women.
okay.
There's not a way to diagnose it so much as there is a way to diagnose what you don't have. And certain tests will come up as false positives. And it's a process of elimination to try to figure out, oh, no, but it's not actually that. It's really this thing. And there's no way of knowing where it comes from yet, although certain things like traumas. Erin had her gallbladder taken out, and it was a double operation. She had her gallbladder taken out and a growth internally taken out at the same time on my 40th birthday, and then when she got out of the hospital and she was recovering, she went back to work too soon, got pneumonia, so I had to go and take more time off. And of course, her work was like, "You're just full of shit." Um, and it's kind of like with my achalasia. Like I think I got my achalasia because I had a really bad cough and I coughed myself into a small hernia, and I think
Okay.
that might have caused some of the problems with my throat. But I don't know for sure, and there, again, don't know where it comes from. But it was weird that my best friend and I were both affected by it at the same time. Fibromyalgia, really common. Like in the sense that I know a lot of women who've had their gallbladder taken out. I also know a lot of women that have fibromyalgia or very similar things and suffer a lot of the same effects, or have fibromyalgia on top of some other stuff. Um, and again, it's one of those things that is now very talked about. For a long time, it wasn't known, but I think it's because people just didn't give a shit to know.
Yeah.
It's like how we have a lot of kids who have autism, but for years and years, it's not like there weren't kids who had autism. It's just that they got institutionalized or they got whipped. They got
Yeah.
beat by their parents and just pay more fucking attention. Um, it's in many ways we still deal with what is similar to a primitive culture when it comes to modern medicine. And I think in America especially, it's because modern medicine is still a for-profit kind of deal. And so we'll run a billion tests, but not actually care about what you're doing. And then we'll just stampede you in and stampede you out. If you're lucky, you're in a place that has good doctors and everything. And Aaron got really lucky. The medical facilities in the town here seem to give a crap. They've helped my mom a lot. She just had her knee replaced about a month and a half ago, and her recovery has gone immensely great. And that's after her accident a couple years ago when she first moved here, and she had to be in recovery for months. So it's unfortunate to say that Aaron having this, we're lucky.
Yeah.
She's lucky. They've started her on some medication, which is mostly to help her sleep because she doesn't have restful sleep.
Okay.
She's exhausted. She's in pain a lot of the time, and it's good days and bad days, and it's regulating what is a good day and what's a bad day. And there's a long list of things that will spark the symptoms, and it's unfortunately all stuff that we like caffeine, and she loves her coffees, and her Diet Cokes. And I was just
Right.
with the last couple of weeks, I was saying, maybe it's time that we wean you off the Diet Coke because
But
that's a
so
terrible thing in a lot of ways.
so I love diet soda, but when I stopped drinking, Yeah, and, like eventually I don't really like once in a while I'll have one, but it's not like every day where like I go out to lunch and I'm like, gotta get a Diet Coke. Like
Right.
eventually you'll just stop wanting it. But coffee is I really like the taste of coffee. It has nothing to do
Yeah.
with caffeine. So I can't even be like just drink decaf because I think decaf does taste like shit.
And that's really true, is that she enjoys the act of going to get her coffee,
Yeah.
but and it's an addiction in the same way that she enjoys getting up and having her cigarette the first thing in the morning, and smoking
Right.
is another thing that's going to have to
I
stop.
was gonna say I bet that's gotta stop too.
A lot of stuff does, and it's going to affect the both of us, because there's going to be things that I'm used to just eating crap and
Yeah.
having that around the house, and always like I go shopping and I get her treats and stuff because that's how I make myself feel happy, and I figure, oh, I'll bring Erin donuts. She likes her powdered donuts.
Yep.
And that's going to have to change, and then I'm not going to be able to have that stuff around the house myself.
Yeah.
Which,
I mean,
fair.
it's a change, but it's obvious. I mean, in the long run, it'll be better for both of you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like it sucks, and it's going to be a pain in the ass, but I think you guys will both be happier in the long run.
Well, I had my first Impossible Burger last week. We went
From
out to
Burger
eat.
King?
No, not from Burger
No,
King.
okay.
Because I really have done as much as I can to not eat fast food since moving out here.
Fair enough.
It's literally been like I've been to McDonald's probably less than 5 times, like for myself to actually get food that I'm eating, less than
Yeah.
5 times in the year that we've been here. And beyond McDonald's, I've gone to Arby's a few times because Arby's is still kind of a special thing for me.
Yeah.
But between the two of them, less than 15 times. 2 trips to Taco Bell. In a year's time, which I used to live off of McDonald's at my last job for my lunches because of the dollar menu. It's a huge change, but it's not like I'm eating good. I'm just not eating fast food.
Right. So real quick before, because I do want to talk to you about these Impossible Burgers. When you were talking about the healthcare industry and how they never really cure you, it reminded me there's a song by the band Let Live called White America's Beautiful Black Market. Let that sink in.
Okay.
But there's a line and it says, they say get sick, then feel better. Be sure that they will never cure you. You're worth so much more diseased.
Huh.
And I fucking work in that field.
Yeah, I mean, I work
So-
for a company that makes devices for health and stuff, and pushes wellness very, very much a lot. In our cafeterias, they do meals that are very reasonably priced. They're not always the greatest things in the world, and we go out to eat a lot more because we want to get the fuck out of there. But they do a good job. Like I've gone from getting up in the morning and eating like their breakfast stuff, which is like your hash browns, your eggs, and things like that. And part of this is cost. It's because I'm very poor. I went from that to eating yogurt and granola parfaits that I would make there, and literally these were like $3, but it's a good amount of yogurt and good granola and some fresh fruit that I put in there. And now I'm just eating a goddamn bowl of oatmeal every morning, which is $1. So again, it's part of it is because I'm poor, but also I'm trying to do better in the things. And the woman who works at the counter is like, notice she sees me eyeball. They've got these cheesy tots, so they're like little mini hash brown bites. And they're filled with cheese, and they're just fantastic. Such a happiness in a little bite, and you can fill a whole plate with those and be happy.
If you're not watching this, I just licked the side of a beer can, to which a friend licked that can, and yeah.
I thought he was talking to me about something else entirely.
No. Yeah, we have a cafeteria at work, so like on the last day of the work week, where myself and 2 coworkers are there, we always go get a breakfast burrito.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I just take Greek yogurt and a scoop of protein powder, and that's what I eat for breakfast every day.
Yeah, and I'm it's really hard for me to make the adjustment to eating better, because I'm not a person who's ever leaned towards eating vegetables, or the vegetables that I like are like the really poor ones like corn and peas.
But you know what you could do is instead of like, because I know a friend of the show, Seth Wolf, he doesn't care for broccoli and green vegetables, so he just takes powdered greens every day.
Yeah, and there is that, but I need the fiber too. I need.
That's a really good point. I love fiber. End of story. I like taking big meaty dumps.
Yeah, no, and I definitely. I'm taking a probiotic gummy. I was taking some fiber pills, and it was like you're supposed to take 5 of them at a time, 4 times a day, and that was a bit much.
Christ.
Yeah.
Fiber One is banned in my house.
Okay,
Because it does it to me.
because it does your septic system,
Yeah.
your literal septic system. But yeah, so I take it's a prebiotic probiotic gummy that Meyer had a brand, and then they were out the last time, so I got some name brand thing. But I'm taking that. I take my multivitamin. I take my daily allergy pill, and I have oatmeal, and it's still like it's fighting a losing battle on me. A man who loves cheese.
You're not gonna just like take pills one day and wake up the next day and be like, we're fucking good now.
Yeah, but it's better. I noticed with the yogurt and stuff too. It was doing things that were making things a little bit better, and just that I'm eating in the morning and not waiting until lunch and totally binging is helpful. The Impossible Burger. So there's this restaurant called Hank's Tavern, or it's also called another name, which is very confusing. We tried to meet my parents there. Cute little place right on a river in this town. Everything's on a river or lake, and we've been going there a few times, and we've gotten a few things. And they've got cheese curds. They've got yeah,
you know.
They've got build your own mac and cheese. They've got a bunch of different like great appetizers on there. But they do have an Impossible Burger. And on their list of burgers, they've got all these different kinds. They're all very specialty and stuff. And then it just gets to Impossible Burger, and it's just like a fucking burger, except it's vegetables, and it costs a little bit more. So it's not decorated up like you get a Western burger and you got your barbecue sauce and your bacon and all this other shit. This obviously they don't do that with this. It's just like you're getting this instead of.
Would they let you substitute one of their dressed up burgers with an Impossible Patty?
I haven't asked yet, but this is the first time that I'd had it. We went with my parents, and I'm just like, I've been wanting to do this. I've been wanting to try it out just to see if I can not eliminate meat from my diet.
Yeah.
But find occasions to not have it, and especially not red meat. So when I've been making sloppy joes at home, I've been getting ground turkey as opposed to ground beef when I do that. Yeah. I might switch to ground chicken or something like that for tacos, because I do love to make tacos. If I can just bring it back a little bit, because it's really easy, especially here, every restaurant is a burger place. Like every restaurant has burgers on the menu, usually breakfast, and your lunch menu is burgers. Yeah. And it's real easy to just get a burger because it's basic. You know it. You can dress it how you want, but you just feel comfortable having it. You don't feel comfortable having had it. And it's a little too much of that. And when my dad and mom came out to visit us in California, Dad had a burger everywhere he went. And I don't see Dad eating as many burgers now. And I'm realizing, oh, Dad's ahead of the game. Dad knows. Yeah. He's got some years on me, so it took him a while to get to that decision. But still, so I'm trying to make adjustments. But I had that Impossible Burger, and Erin took a bite of it, and she's like, well, it's nothing special. I'm like, yeah, it's nothing special. It tastes like a burger, though, right? She goes, well, yeah. I said, then that's all I need.
Yeah, exactly. So on Thursday, I went to Chicago with two friends. We went to Schaumburg, and we went to Kuma's, the metal burger place. And so my friend Jake hadn't been there since he started eating meat again. So he literally just, like you said, I just want a burger. Just give me a fucking baseline. And I was over there getting like the fucking weird thing. It had a brat and apple chutney and all this shit. But I didn't get it without a bun, because I eat like deep fried jalapeno poppers to start. And people always look at me and they're like, well, what the fuck are you doing? I said, it's just, dude, it's picking your battles.
Yeah.
I'm going to have 2 lunch beers and these jalapeno poppers, so I'm not going to get a big ass bun. And then I get a side salad. Pick your battles. And it's not like you can't eat any of it ever again. You just need to decide where and when you want it and how you're gonna ingest it.
Yeah, my favorite sandwich from this place called Ike's back in California was called the Deep Throat, and it was ham, bacon, extra dirty sauce, mozzarella sticks.
Just trying to deep throat a dick for you.
Yeah, I know you were. Yeah. But mozzarella sticks on a sandwich is a goddamn delight. And I keep trying to find places that put mozzarella sticks on burgers. The closest I've got is that for a while at Mr. B's, they were selling fried cheese curds. And I was getting those as my side and then putting those on the burger. and it's just wonderful.
Dude, one thing you can do, there's a place in Wisconsin called Milwaukee Burger Company. They have their cheese curds are like inch by inch cubes. They're fucking massive, but they have a cheeseburger with those on them. But
yeah,
excuse me, one thing I found you can do is if it's on the menu, just ask.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. So, and I don't think they have.
I feel like a dick doing it, but I'm always like, man, I'm not like asking them to go down the street to get me something that they don't already have.
No, I worked with this guy, Tom, and Tom was always like, well, they have all the ingredients. They can make this. I'm like, fuck you. They can make this. Sure. But that's not their fucking jobs is to create a special menu for it. But I've ordered off menu before. When I used to go to Bayside all the time, they had stuff on the menu before, and then it went off the menu, and I was like, well, can you still make that? Because I really love that thing. And like, yeah, we've got all the stuff. I'm like, that's great. But I would always be very accepting of, like, if you balk at it at all, I'm fine. I can find something else to eat.
And that's a really good point, and I think it generally helps if you're very like understanding and be like, dude, I understand I'm asking you to do something a little left field, but like work with me here.
Yeah.
Like I went to a bar here for I got tacos with some coworkers, and I said, look, like I want these tacos, but I said, but can you literally just bring me a hamburger patty? And she just stared at me. I said, just grill a hamburger, put it on a fucking plate, and charge me however you want.
Yep.
I said, I just want the extra meat.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, okay. And they found a way to do it. And my coworkers looked at me weird, and I said, yeah, well, you know what? I can bench press all of you.
Yeah, if you're at a big restaurant, the person who's waiting on you may not know how to make that happen, but they can ask somebody. And if they're just uncomfortable with it, and you realize, okay, I blew your mind by asking for something that is not what you're prepared for. I'm just going to go ahead and get this other thing that I looked at. You always have a backup. Like,
right.
Plenty of times I go there and it's, oh, we're out of that thing tonight. Well, that's fine. I already got something in mind that I was probably going to choose from anyways. And so that's what I'll go to next. It's rare that I've had, maybe once or twice, that I've had two things that I was interested in not be there. And like, okay, well, now I have to take a step back and figure out what the fuck's going on.
Right.
But again, I don't eat healthy. And when I couldn't eat and I came back from that, like that was, you guys recently did Fast and the Furious 2 on your other show, Matt's other show, Fast and the Furious. Great show. Definitely need to listen to it.
3 came out as well.
Yes, I saw that. But I remember something in Fast and the Furious 2 where, is it Taye Diggs? Is that who that guy is?
Yeah, Taye Diggs shows up in 2.
Okay, that Paul Walker's bestie in that one.
Rest in peace.
Yeah. So he got out of prison and he's eating a lot of candy bars and stuff. And Paul Walker's like, man, you're eating a ton of candy. He's like, yeah, well, you're in prison. You don't get to eat when you want to eat. You don't get to eat what you want to eat. And he's like, I'm never going to go hungry again. And that's how I felt when I had achalasia, is I couldn't eat. I couldn't swallow food. I could barely get liquid down half the time. I was eating a lot of omelets. I was eating just the most basic things you could get. No red sauces because I have heartburn. Everything you could think of that was like the stuff that brought joy to my life for a long time out of my system. Couldn't do it. For months, for a year, I lost a good amount of weight and I look great. It's nice to be sick because sometimes you look good. Yeah. But after the operation, I couldn't eat solid food for, I think, 2 or 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. I was on a clear liquid diet going in and coming out for several weeks. And then slowly I could introduce some stuff, but it had to be blended up. So like blended soups, no substance to anything for another couple weeks. And then slowly introduce other foods into it. I wanted barbecue ribs.
Did you reintroduce dick into your diet?
Well, I took it another way.
Such a team player.
Yeah, that's everything in the back door is working fine. It's the front that's fucked up. All
right.
Yeah, so I wanted barbecue ribs. I wanted pizza. I wanted a lot of the stuff that I couldn't have for a long time, and some stuff that I hadn't thought about for years. But it's like all of a sudden, oh shit, I can eat that now.
But I think it's because you can't have it is why you want it.
Right. But then when you can have it and you just decided, and I'm just going to go for it and do it, then that's the problem. I put the weight back on and then some pretty fast
Yeah.
and have hung around at this level, and I'm not happy about this level, but I've been at this level when I was younger. When I was like 15, I was about 300 pounds, and then I dropped down to 120 over the course of about a summer. So when I came back to school the next year, nobody recognized me. And then I got back up and I leveled about 160. And I spent most of my teen years and into my early 20s, at least, between 160 and 180. But to be at the weight that I'm at now again, yeah, I don't love it. It sucks. I have a heart condition. I've got heart conditions coming from both sides of the family. So I get winded walking a flight of stairs. But I spend every day when I go to work, like we have restrooms on both floors, and I'm just like, I always go upstairs to use the restroom, because I just want to get those steps in. I'm trying to do the little tiny things I can to get better, which I also have to get some fucking major surgery at some point to get better. But all of that is like, we need an excuse for me to make changes. This is a shitty excuse for it to happen. But for me, it's a horrible way to say this. It's kind of a blessing if this is going to change how we do some things.
Right. So I had my yearly physical, and my blood sugar always comes back high, and that's the only thing. And the doctor was like, "Well, I want to do an A1C or whatever." And I came back, and she goes, "It's normal. I don't understand this." And I said, "I'm gonna level with you." I said, "I got real drunk on Sunday, and I ate a lot of cheese." And she just kind of stared at me, and she goes, "Yep, that'll do it."
Yeah.
Like, yeah, like, and they're like, what do you do for exercise? And I told them, and then just kind of stared at me, and I said, I hate cardio, but I do a little bit because I understand that I don't want to die at 35.
You hate cardio, but you also drum for hours at a time.
And they didn't like it last year when I said, hey, yeah, I play in a metal band, so basically I do CrossFit, and they didn't get it. This year my joke was, she's like, oh, are you sexually active? I said, I'm married, so kind of.
Yeah.
She just stared at me, and I'm like,
whenever the wife's away.
Tough crowd. Tough crowd, yeah, right? Get all the hookers in the pole over when she's gone this week, so I'm going to have the pole installed. By that, I mean I'm going to move the recliner in front of the TV.
Oh, I thought you were inviting Sean over. But
who?
Sean.
Just,
I was using a random name.
Oh, I'm like, who are you referencing? I'm usually not, neither of us are really shy with using our real names or anything, so that's why I was very confused. I'm going to invite Mike over. Mike, I know you're watching. Alyssa's gone. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Mike's literally watching, just rubbing his nipples.
Just he has his shirt off. Just tell Katie I need you to fix my FedEx package.
Yeah, so I want to follow my my whole rant about getting healthier by saying I picked up the Mountain Dew Voodoo flavor this week.
I want to know what you think about it because I've had it.
I have not yet. This is going to be the lunch. I've had it in the fridge waiting.
Oh, attaboy. I'm halfway through beer number 2. I literally had like 2 drinks of it, and I'm like, I'm good. Like I cannot drink regular soda anymore.
It's just too many random flavors for Mountain Dew. They're all terrible.
It just goes back to I don't really drink soda anymore, so drinking a full strength soda is very difficult. Now I tried to figure out what this thing. It looks like Corey just sniffed a butthole. That's the face he made. So
it tastes good at first, and then it like leaves your mouth.
Yeah.
But it's like it dragged death across it first.
Yeah, so I've heard that it's supposed to taste like a caramel apple or candy corn or like any number of things, and I still don't know what the fuck it's supposed to taste like.
I had heard Skittles. Now, my first instinct when I ate it was a Starburst.
Exactly. Pink Starburst is the first thing I said too, and my coworker looked at me like I was an idiot.
But so it's a Starburst that is trying to fuck with you. No, that's going to go in the fridge.
And that's the thing. Like, we bought a 12-pack of cans from Meijer, and I felt really bad because I should ask him what those cans are up to these days. But I was trying to Google the Mountain Dew Voodoo flavor, and the first thing that comes up is a eBay listing for a rare bottle of Mountain Dew Error for $5,000.
Mountain Dew Error, like they made a Mountain Dew that was just a mistake.
Well, it's so that it's a picture of the bottle, and it just says Diet Mountain Dew. Everything's spelled right. Dunited.com is up on top, and then it says Vermont, and there's like a cow on it. I don't get what this person's trying to accomplish.
So it's like
Air,
a printing
clear?
error. It's like when you
No,
get a
it's
baseball
clear
card and the
bottle.
stats are backwards or something.
It's a clear bottle instead of green.
Okay. Yeah.
$5,000? Go fuck yourself, eBay guy.
Yeah.
Bozowski player? Fuck yourself. Die in a fire. That's what I have to say about you selling your $5,000 piece of shit. Based in the United States, I'm gonna find you.
I'm gonna find you and shove Mountain Dew bottles up your ass.
Fucking.
So this at least gets better when the more you drink it. Like it gets
when it warms up, it'll be a little less intense.
Yeah, it's practically at room temperature already because it's nice and steamy here. Although we got a little bit of rain going on behind me.
It poured all day here, so that's headed your way.
You lucky son of a bitch.
Well, I think it's supposed to be back in the low to mid 70s.
It's supposed to hit like high 60s tomorrow here, not with rain, but it was supposed to get down to cooler temperatures this weekend, and it's stuck in the 80s.
We've had a flood warning for 10 days. Yeah, I live next to a floodplain, so it's not like that big of a deal, but
yeah, I'm on a river that literally flooded my house before I got to move into it. So,
oh damn.
Well, the basement filled up with water, but the rest of the house was okay.
Cool.
But the whole street across the river, everything over there got wiped out pretty bad. Mr. B's across from us was okay, but stuff down the road was messed up. So we were really lucky because his house was not insured.
Oh, fuck, yeah. But, I mean, how common is that to happen? Like, is this something you're going to be dealing with every couple of years?
Well, they called it a 100-year flood. But as you know, in this day and age, the 100-year flood is now every couple of years and getting more frequent. Because they've had several 100-year floods down in Houston, I think.
Yeah, I have family who live in a suburb, and it's fucking pretty gnarly down there all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, the last time I was down there, they were just driving around me like, and that was underwater, and that was underwater, and I'm like, yeesh.
Plus, I'm wearing Erin's t-shirt. I mean, it's my t-shirt that I bought, but it's one that she drew, and I didn't think about it today. I went to Meyer on a Sunday in a small town, so everybody's getting out of church and seeing me with a demon with satanic symbols all around them on my shirt, and I'm sure they're going to want to drown me in holy water, too.
I wear a sleeveless Slaughter to Prevail shirt with an upside down cross on it to the YMCA.
Yeah. No, but that's the why.
I have a buddy of mine in
a lot of human sacrifices happen to people from the Y.
He has a shirt. Fuck. And he's totally going to correct me when he hears this, but I could have swore it just has a big Star of David on it, and they asked him not to wear it again.
Yeah.
But I also know that he was trying to get a shirt that said "Doing It Yahweh." After that, maybe I'll buy that for him. His wedding's coming up. Doing It Yahweh.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, so how's your week been?
Fine. It's a fucking half an hour in. All we've done is talk about food and health.
Yeah. Well, we were off last week because you were traveling.
I was drunk.
Yeah, which is what we call traveling for you.
I was time traveling on Sunday. It's fine. I went to Chicago on Thursday. I had Friday off. I played a bunch of video games. Finished Gears of War 5. Holy shit, Corey. Since I've seen you, I've seen It 2, 3 from Hell, beat Gears of War 5, and started Borderlands 3.
Wow.
And my wife's gone, so I'll probably finish Borderlands 3 this week. Well, she leaves tomorrow morning. But
so, do you want to give a quick summation of It 2? Because
here's a nice piece of shit. I actually saw 3 from Hell and It both with Mike, so Mike can chime in as he sees fit. But It Chapter 2 is 3 hours long. So
it is.
Chapter 2 itself is as long as Chapter 1 and 2 of the original.
Still felt shorter than Hereditary to me, but
so you saw Chapter 2?
Oh yeah, we saw it opening night.
Okay, so I didn't care for some of the changes. Were fine.
Oh, you've read the book?
I have not read the book, but I've seen the original, which I believe is pretty true to the book, if I remember correctly.
The only thing about the original is that it was made for TV, so it's always tough to.
Right.
On that.
I should listen to the book, but I'm basing Chapter 2 off of what I remember from Chapter 1.
Mm-hmm.
For what and fuck this. So the Chinese scene was fun. I remember the guy killing himself.
Yep.
The tomes or whatever that fucking piece was. I knew it was different, but I didn't hate it. Like the whole like sacrificial shit was fine. The only thing I was curious was, is he gonna still turn into a big spider? And he does.
Yeah.
Let's fucking call him a clown and bring him down to size, and then everyone grabs a piece of his heart and squeezes. A little cheesy, but I get it.
Yeah, it's a Freddy Krueger ending. The first Nightmare on Elm Street where Nancy's like, "I'm going to take away your power."
Yes,
but I don't know what you can do besides that. The only real problem in that scene is the fact that whole final battle scene happens almost exactly in the way that it happens in the first movie. It's just done over again with higher stakes, but
yeah. So either way, the movie should have stopped there. The suicide note, all that shit, happy-go-lucky, sexy fat guy kisses a sexy redhead, didn't need to happen. My wife's crying in the movie theater. We're going to see a horror movie on Friday the 13th. She's fucking crying. And I'm like, that whole thing didn't need to happen.
See, I think it needed to happen, but I didn't feel anything from it because
I literally sat there, I was like, oh my God, stop.
This movie, I think, suffered a lot from the fact that the first movie was so good because of all the time the kids were together.
Yes.
It's a lot of closeness, and their interactions, and those kids are just fucking incredible. This movie, we get the one real scene of the adults being together and being on the same page, and that's that restaurant scene.
Yeah.
And then the rest of it is them infighting, or I'm leaving. Okay, I'm staying. Okay, I'm leaving. Okay, I'm staying. Okay, I'm leaving.
Yeah, there was a lot of like callback or jumping back to them as kids, and
which I like all of that again because the kids were the better part of it.
Yeah.
The hardest part is that the first part was so good, and the kids were so good, and the people they chose to play the kids are good, but they just didn't have the positioning to do it in the same way that the kids did, of being stronger as and that's what the whole theme of the movie is. We're stronger together.
Yep. I didn't care for Bill Hader. Like, I love Bill Hader. I think he's great, but I feel like they were like, we need someone funny. We'll get Bill Hader.
The comedy, while it feels forced, I honestly laughed at everything that was comedic, including the "Call Me Angel" in the morning, which was a dumb tacked on moment, but I still laughed out loud when it happened.
Yeah.
And yet I look at it and I see that's a failing to do that. It's such a cheap bit to just like, oh, here's the demon's going to throw up on the guy who's already freaked out by everything anyways, and we're going to slow-mo it and play a song that has no reference in anything at all to just be like, we're going to just do this.
It felt very Deadpool.
Yeah.
Which had no place in this movie. But
the problem is, again, Richie was incredibly funny in the first movie, and all the kids carried it well.
I think he was inadvertently funny. Like, he was written to be kind of funny, and it just came across as a lot funnier than it was supposed to be. And
well, little kid saying everything about, like, you know, your mom chewing on my dick and stuff.
Right. So then when 2 came out, they're like, we got to ramp her up, and that just I don't think it worked.
I'm different than you in that I love Bill Hader in this, but I love Bill Hader in everything. But his character arc, while it didn't feel hinted at in the first one, and so they have to kind of go back and retroactively fit it in. Yeah. It felt so. I just tugged every time I saw that and stuff. I really did love him in this, and I loved a lot of the movie, but it was it's kind of like Quantum of Solace was to Casino Royale. It's like after Casino Royale was so good, and the next one is just like all the points that we have to hit that we didn't do in the first one. That's what this was. What I've heard is that they are planning to do a version of it where the scenes take place in the order like they did in the book. And they couldn't do that in the chapter 1, chapter 2 portion. But if they do a release with both DVDs together and they do like a an edited version to make it feel more like that, then it may seem more natural.
They were
I don't
talking about
know.
doing a supercut with deleted scenes that you
Right.
can get in the supercut.
And I could definitely have like Sundays of watching.
But the downside, and I was because my mom's a huge Stephen King fan, so when she was here earlier, I was talking to her and I said, like, the original is 3 fucking hours.
Right.
That's long enough. So now you're telling me there's going to be a supercut of a 2 and a 3-hour movie with deleted scenes. You're looking at 5.5 hours.
But at home that works because we fucking play Netflix shows and stream them all day. We binge watch series like that all
Right.
the time.
Right, but you generally will watch like an episode and pause. Go to like when Alyssa and I did Stranger Things in a day. We would watch an episode. We would go do something else. We would come back. We would watch an episode. So it's every hour you're taking a break. This is a 5-hour piece that doesn't really have breaks. You're gonna have breaks.
I agree, and I remember when I was a kid and the movie channels started happening on cable. Showtime would play like a really long movie. They would stop and do an intermission point.
Intermissions are like a lost art.
Yeah,
I fucking miss them.
But we have the power now with remote controls to just pause shit ourselves and say, I gotta pee, I gotta shit, I gotta get up and walk around because it's a little bit too much of that. And that spider in the corner is fucking freaking me out because I think it's got a clown face. That it's in our hands now to do that. But I don't disagree with anything that you said. Like everything that you said is kind of what I've thought about it. I enjoyed it as I was watching it, and I didn't come back to it with the same like, oh, that was really fucking stupid, like I did with Halloween, which is the last movie that I'd seen in this theater. And it was Erin's first time at that theater. The chairs there are really uncomfortable. She was really uncomfortable in that seat the whole time, but she still loved the movie. And it didn't feel long. Like I said, Hereditary felt long at 2 hours.
Right.
And Avengers Endgame didn't feel long to me at 3 hours. I was in a much nicer seat then.
Speaking of Hereditary, and I want to get off of it because people may have tuned out because they want to see it, but
right.
Midsummer is supposed to come out tomorrow, I think, on video.
Yeah.
So we'll have to try and watch that.
Maybe. And I've heard that has
like an ultra mega cut if you purchase Apple TV for 37 months and cut off your left testicle.
Apple TV, the thing they're giving away free if you buy anything Apple. If you buy an iPhone, if you buy an iPad, if you
pluck out 12 pubic hairs, they'll give you an Apple TV.
Yeah, exactly. Which is about what it feels like when you have to buy any one of their fucking bullshit adapters to make your shit work.
So, speaking of, I was trying to help Erica and Dan with this mixer that they had purchased for doing Monster Madness. And I'm like, so you have like these USBs and they're going into this. And I said, and you have like a headphone in and a mic out. And she's like, no, I have this dongle that has HDMI and 2 USBs. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what are you supposed to do with that?
She's on a Mac, right?
She is on a Mac.
Yeah. Jack had some of the same issues on his MacBook.
Right, which it kind of sucks. Like even so, the Lenovo's we have for work are starting to do that. Like they took out the Ethernet adapter and they don't have as many USBs. Thankfully, mine still has like an SD card slot on it. But yeah, it's just I get it. Everyone's trying to be really thin and sleek.
Yeah, the new Dells, a lot of them are doing that where they don't have the Ethernet on them, and even though they've been using USB-C docks for the last couple of years, the new ones only work with the new USB-C docks to if you want to image them and stuff. It's a giant fucking pain in the ass. And yeah, you're right. It's we want sleek, we want lightweight. And I appreciate the sleek and lightweight, but I also want something that can be fucking used right. Well, and every time someone buys a Surface and they're using that, the first thing they complain about is like, so I can travel with this and I can plug it in a hotel. Yeah, but you have to bring that fucking 10-pound docking station with you because none of that shit's on board, and good luck finding a fucking adapter that's going to work otherwise.
We have a couple we got like a couple cheap from a company at work to test them, and one of the guys that has one is someone that I work with quite frequently, and he's always fucking complaining about it. He was trying to put in he was projecting on a TV, so he had his HDMI plugged in, and the one USB the USB for the mouse also couldn't fit.
Mm-hmm.
So he was using his touchpad and his screen, and like shit wouldn't work, and then his wireless mouse would stop working. Fuck, man, I'll just stick with the Lenovo I have is just fine.
Yeah.
But I do want to talk about Three from Hell because I had serious problems with it. Some news came to light, and I felt a lot better about it, and I do want to go see it again. I didn't realize it wasn't coming out in theaters. It was just like a 3-day event that went over pretty well. So they're doing a fourth night.
Good for them. And that's the thing is I didn't realize until all of a sudden everybody's going to see it. I'm like, what? It's out already? And then I'm realized,
So
it's not out for long.
I knew it was coming out. It was like this 3-day event, and I was super pumped. The first night was my birthday, so I was like, "This is what I'm fucking doing." If you showed up early, you got a special poster. So Alyssa, Mike, and I went, and Mike was kind enough to share his popcorn. His penis was in the bottom. Didn't stop me.
At the bottom of the popcorn or the bottom of
the popcorn. Yeah,
Oh.
he cut the hole in there and just dick through. But so here, this is probably my favorite thing about the whole thing. It was not a movie. It was a Fathom event. So there was no commercials, no previews. 7:00 start time. There was a 3-minute intro from Rob Zombie. Movie started. 2-hour movie. We were walking out at 8:45.
Nice.
So that I was really thankful for. I'm not shy about the fact that Captain Spaulding is my favorite character in these movies.
Yep.
He is in Three from Hell for 5 minutes.
Oh.
I was very, very upset. And then it basically is this interview with him that I had already seen online, which I was upset about. And then it said, he was put to death 2 weeks later, some shit. I was like, motherfucker, that's it? The third person is Baby and Otis's half brother that you never hear anything about. Baby is like this caricature of herself, which was kind of annoying, but Otis was true to form. Bill Moseley was great as always, but
yeah,
it came out a couple days later, 2 days later. Sid Haig's health has been so bad, that Zombie had to beg the doctors to let him out of the movie or out of the hospital to be in the movie for all that he's in.
Wow.
So the script was rewritten, he said, roughly 10 times to pare down Spaulding's part in it to fit Sid's health. So I was like, oh, motherfucker, that sucks. But I said, at least he didn't make this stupid decision where he's like, oh, well, Spaulding's just going to die in the beginning of the movie, and we're going to have this other guy that we've never talked about. And it was done for, I hate to use the term better reasons, but it was done for better reasons. So that makes me want to go back and watch it again.
And I've been hearing stuff about Sid's health and everything, and he was having a really bad time
for so long. And because I follow him on Instagram, and he was like, oh, I'm not dying. I'm just, I'm getting thinner. I'm getting older. I'm trying to be healthier. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, he's in the fucking hospital. Something going on. And Zombie's words exactly were like, Sid Haig, this big burly dude. I go in there and he's like a skeleton. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Like, dude, you're 82. So I guess another thing was if for him to be in the movie in the capacity that third character was, he would have had to pass like a physical and a couple other things for Lionsgate to employ him to pay him.
Right. Because
and for insurance, obviously. And that was a concern. So
it's disappointing, but it's realistic.
It is. It's disappointing, but it's disappointing for like a valid reason. It's not just like Rob Zombie's like, I had this vision and Spaulding's not in it. It was more of like a dude, we had to.
Because the vision was a promise of those three. That's what we've been led to believe this whole time.
But I felt better knowing that he was always supposed to be the third person.
Right.
He physically at his age is unable to do it. Also, my understanding was Rob Zombie had never intended in doing a third movie. It was just after a couple of years he got an itch, and then 3 years ago, I think he said, he went to Lionsgate and he's like, hey, I want to do another movie with these characters. And they were like, fuck yeah, let's do it. Sorry, my dad keeps calling me.
That's okay.
Yeah. But yeah, so I do really want to re-see it when it comes out. I think it comes out on Blu-ray on October 15th is what they said. That is certainly one I'm going to purchase because I'm certain they're going to come out with like a 3-pack of all three. And much like my 20th anniversary Hackers Blu-ray, gotta own it.
Gotta own it.
Yeah. So, you want to talk about "I'll Take Your Dad"?
Yeah.
This is your suggestion, by the way.
This was my suggestion.
You can fucking talk about it.
So people who watched the last or heard the last episode, we were doing Hobo with a Shotgun, which I kind of knew going in that it was not going to be a great movie. I didn't know how much it was not going to be a great movie until I actually watched it. But I have a tendency to stay up late.
Sorry, I hate to say that Hobo with a Shotgun isn't a good movie because it was entertaining. But from a story standpoint, it's not a good movie.
Right. And I don't know that I was as entertained as you were, but that's the thing. We have different tastes and stuff like this.
Speaking of how easy it is to entertain me, I've recently found a guy on YouTube called Davey504 who just talks about playing slap bass all the time. And I'm pretty sure he's not 100% there, and he's Italian, which makes it even worse. I love it.
You find out that he's not all there because he'd seen Rocky and decided that he could fight anybody and got tagged in the head once too many. And
yeah. Anyways, carry on with the movie.
So I had on Saturdays I tend to stay up really late, and I was trying to bring myself into a
at 10:45, and I'm like, he might be asleep.
Yeah.
And then it texted me, and I was like, he never sleeps. I forgot about that.
That's right. So I was like, yeah, I'll put on a movie that I'm not too worried about being into, and I'll just fall asleep to that. And I saw this movie on the listings on the pay-per-view stuff, or it was like it's I think it's on Showtime or something this month. And I'm sure I will. What happened?
Fucking YouTube.
Okay.
Don't mind me.
All right. You disappeared for a second there.
Wait 1 second so I can edit this though.
Yep.
Because if I don't now, I'll never remember to do it.
On the pay-per-view stuff, or it was like it's I think it's on Showtime or something this month.
Okay. You were talking about pay-per-view.
And so I see this movie.
Hang on.
Fuck you.
Start again. God damn it, Corey. All right, go.
So I see this movie in the listings, and I have no idea what it is, and I'm like, sure, I'll just give it a shot. And I put it on, and it is actually kind of fucking engrossing because it's an intimate little film. A couple years ago now, we did a movie called The Autopsy of Jane Doe.
Mm-hmm.
You remember that one?
Mm-hmm.
This kind of reminded me of that. Because it's all in one space, really. It happens on this farm that this man and his daughter live on, and the gist of it is that he has mobsters that have kind of control over him because of something that happened by accident when his wife was in the hospital dying years ago. That they come and they drop off bodies for him to get rid of. He's in an isolated place. No one knows any association between him and the mobsters themselves. So it's just an arrangement. They pay him. He's not proud of it. He doesn't think that he's a good person, but he also doesn't think he's a terrible person either because he's not killing anybody.
Yeah.
He's doing a job, which, considering the fact that he works with livestock and stuff, is probably not far off from things that he would be used to doing normally. The only weird part, other than dealing with dead people, is that his daughter is there, and he is a dad, and he's got to kind of protect her from things. But she works on the farm too. Realistically, she's gotten exposure to this stuff, and as a man who's lost his wife, and his daughter is growing up, and he doesn't know how to deal with everything anyways, he's not doing the greatest job of keeping the weird stuff from her. And that's kind of most of the basic. Except what happens is that at the beginning of this movie, some people who work for the mobsters that know of him because of it come and drop off some bodies that go outside his guidelines, and he doesn't want to take them because one of them is a kid, and he says that he doesn't take kids, and they don't really give him a choice. And another one is a woman, and it turns out that the woman isn't actually dead. And so the movie is him dealing with the fact that she's alive, and because he's not a horrible person, debatable, he
and I guess jumping straight to he does say like everything I did for my dog. So you could argue he's not a terrible person. He just did it with a very specific end game in mind.
Right. And that's the thing is it you can have an idea of loose morality with this. You can say, is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy? And that's explored throughout this thing. Because we're supposed to identify with him, we're exposed to it as he's not a bad guy. And we get to see his relationship with his daughter, and you see that they have a very sweet relationship, a very nurturing thing. But how much is she suffering by being exposed to this? One of the things is that she sees ghosts of the people that he's disposed of around the farm.
I thought that was a very odd turn of events based on the description of the movie. Like, I get it, but
well, that's something that I'd like to go over with you when we get to it. But so she sees ghosts, and she's a little weird. She's cut off. She doesn't have a female influence in her life. So when there's this other woman who's now in her house, tied up to the bed, wearing her mother's dress that she bleeds all over, and they have to burn it. And she's cleaning up blood spots on the floor and things like that. She knows about the getting rid of the body stuff. She doesn't know how to be a little girl. She doesn't know how to be a girl who's turning into a young woman, and that stuff that gets explored in this. And so the relationship stuff and the interactions between these three characters, I think, is really good. I think the person who plays the villain is really good as a vile person that you despise and you fear.
I really hope he listens to this and he's like, you know what? I've waited all my life to be told that I'm really good at being a piece of shit.
Yeah. I mean, if you're a person who's playing a villain, you want to do a good job of it as an actor.
Right. No, I agree. But
also, this is a production company that's based out of Canada. I guess they've won some awards. They're called Black Fawn Films. They do a bunch of. I don't know what their other stuff is like, but they've got at least like 10 to 20 films that they've done, some music videos and stuff too. And I'm intrigued by the fact that this company exists, because right now in America, our horror films are pretty much dominated by Blumhouse.
Yes. Lionsgate too. But yeah. Blumhouse and Lionsgate, I think, between the two of them.
But Blumhouse is like almost everything that's been coming out that gets noticed and talked about is from them. It's not necessarily like they're making all the movies, but they're the distribution production for these films. And so there's the Conjuring universe that all kind of blends out with your Annabelle and the Nun and these other things. Like that gets very big and spread out.
But that's all still Lionsgate, right? Or is that Blumhouse? That's Blumhouse.
I'm pretty sure that's Blumhouse. I think that's where it came from.
Saw was Lionsgate.
Right. But I think the guys who worked on Saw are the ones who started Blumhouse.
It's a mess out there, guys.
Yeah, it's a very incestuous thing. So it's tonally it's similar. Mm-hmm. You know, it's just kind of like and the haunted house thing we've just seen so much of, and we complained about it when we watched that last movie from them, that the El Memora Ming Memora, whatever it was.
El Lama Nama Numi.
Yeah. That it felt like we hadn't gotten anything new from it. It for as good as the people who were in it, and their performances were fine, the material was just so much of the same. And so I'm interested to know what a company that isn't them is doing, since they can be more experimental. They're not trying to like fit this process down and just like keep milking out the same sort of stuff.
Yeah.
You know, we're friends with people who make horror movies. We're friends with people who are doing original stuff. And I want to see what other original people are doing, as opposed to just seeing the same thing happen over and over. And your next 2 or 4 Halloween films and whatever else is going to get rebooted or get sequelized 20 years down the road or whatever.
There's that.
But what did you think from this?
I really wish this movie would have either decided to be like an action movie or a horror movie. Because you could have very easily just made it an action movie in terms of the fact that this guy disposes of bodies, this girl's not dead, to fucking deal with it. The horror movie aspect seemed like very after the fact, and like, well, we're just gonna put this girl in there, and she's gonna start seeing things, and that's gonna make it scary.
I think the movie had scary without that.
Absolutely. I didn't expect any of the shit where she sees the guy sitting at the piano, or she starts seeing all the dead bodies, or when the gangsters show up at the end and they start seeing all, like, fuck, none of that needed to be there, and this still could have been a horror movie. Just the fact that this guy teaches his daughter how to dismantle and dispose of bodies, and then these guys come to kill them because this girl didn't die, could have been fine.
It certainly would have worked with just that film. And that
it would
is
have been a soft horror movie, but it still would have been a horror movie. Like, you didn't need a haunting aspect to make it a horror movie.
Yeah, what was the movie with Patrick Stewart where the neo-Nazis had the band?
Ghost?
No, not
Greenhouse. Or Green Room, sorry. Green
Room. Yeah,
Yeah.
it could have been a horror movie in the fact that Green Room is a horror movie.
Right, which and it's a horror movie from the standpoint of the fact that you as a human being are in a very fucked up situation.
Yep.
And that is in itself terrifying.
Now, we did that movie that I chose also a few weeks ago. God, I don't remember the name of it either. But the one about the two hitmen, and they wind up, the people that are killing it all leads to a cult that's...
Yeah, give me a second to look it up.
Yeah.
Hang on, I gotta switch back over to my account because my wife uses my computer all the time. I'm gonna have to beat her.
Which is his own horror movie too. It's
Just
being married to Matt.
Yeah.
But that movie was a very straightforward...
It's gonna piss me off when I find it out because
But it was a very straightforward movie of like two hitmen doing jobs and stuff like that, and that being its own horrific kind of thing. Guy Ritchie without a sense of humor type of deal. But then it involved, as it goes along, this outlying mystery of this cult.
Kill List.
Yeah. Which I like that movie because it does one thing really well, but this other aspect that it introduces just adds a little bit of flavor to it that doesn't get fully explained, which I know frustrates you.
Yeah, it does, but it doesn't. But yeah.
But also it's like, it's not necessary, but a lot of things in films aren't necessary, but if they bring it in and they do the right things with it, then it just adds enough flavor. It's like that Western bacon cheeseburger. You've got your hamburger, and as a hamburger, it's fine. But then when you lather on these other ingredients, it specializes. It makes it something else that you wouldn't have normally expected. Like, oh, here's your Blue Trees crumbles, and here's your black and tan cooked onion rings that are on the burger or whatever, or your mozzarella sticks. Like that's sort of what it's doing. Is it's taking it. And it's like, yeah, we're doing this, and we hope that we're achieving this story in a way that's enjoyable to the people who are coming at it from the idea of that genre. But this little twist is something that we want to add to it because we think it gives it something too. And I think that movie did that, and this movie does that. And I find that interesting because, like, I like to write things that are both familiar but still have a little bit of the fantastical added to them.
Right.
And when it comes to storytelling, I can't write just regular people doing regular stuff. I always have to put something in there that makes it a little bit more, a little bit extra millennial. But and that may be a weakness in my writing, but it's also just where my head goes. My trip is, this is how I want to storytell. And I know that this movie, the writer director dedicated to his mom who had passed away. I don't know if that was part of the reason why the story was the way it was, or if it just happened that he was making this movie and that actually just coincided, and he put her in the thank you, the credits anyways. But
it's possible.
It may have been that this is his way of dealing with her passing, because the mother in this had passed away. The idea of dealing with the repercussions of the dead as opposed to them just being put into a vat and gone Like it gives the dead people in this an extra weight, an extra voice, even though they don't speak, that they wouldn't have had, and it would have just been the father and the daughter and the living person.
Too much credit.
I am giving it a lot of credit, but I think that when we talk about why I think the daughter sees the dead people and how that all plays out,
yeah,
you're going to get really upset with me because I'm going to give it even more credit.
Whatever. I do want to point out that Beatmaster has finally showed up, and he is very shocked that we're an hour in and already talking about the movie. We're talking about it at great length, too. But you did miss 1 hour of fast food, health, It 2, and 3 from Hell Talk.
Yeah, this is the third movie we're talking about, Beatmaster.
That's a really good point. Yeah, I mean, to your point, like I do really, I think that deaths tend to affect writing. So we had band practice yesterday, and I was talking to our bass player. We were listening to parts of the new Korn record, and like I guess it was written right after the singer's wife had passed away from a drug overdose.
Oh wow!
And like everything's super fucking sad, and I'm like, it's like, yes, I feel really bad for you, dude. That sucks. Like I don't want to have to deal with it, but I want to listen to Korn. I don't want to listen to sad Korn. So like as a consumer, that's a really shitty thing to say, but to the point that I'm making here is,
well, when's the last time Korn put on an album?
A good album or an album?
An album.
Please let me look this up because it's been a while. Discog. God damn it, Google, just give it to me in fucking order. 2016.
2006. Oh, so that's not that long ago. So
they've consistently put out records forever, but please tell me the last time that Korn put out a record that you remember.
Well,
the name of the record, if you can.
I don't remember the name of the record, but I remember Todd McFarlane drew the artwork for one. But I think the girl skipping hopscotch across the.
Jesus Christ, you're talking about Follow the Leader in 1998.
Yeah, because I don't listen to a lot of Korn,
which is fine. But
right.
Issues came out in 99, Untouchables 2002, Take a Look in the Mirror 2003, See You on the Other Side 2005, Untitled Album 2007, Korn 3 2010, The Path of Totality 2011, The Paradigm Shift 2013, and The Serenity of Suffering 2016.
This is like Matt reading the listing on Kornhub.
But what I'm saying is, like, I knew Korn had been putting out records the entire time. I thought they were shit. This one was supposed to be the new, like, we're fucking putting out the heavy. We're putting out the heavy Korn again. And
all right, so that's if Metallica put out their next album, and it was, and I don't want to put anything out there. So one of the members loses their wife or spouse. We won't even put in.
You know, they're all on like marriage number 3, right?
Well, yeah, and we also know that they lost Cliff years ago, and that already was an album that was put out by tragedy. But so the next album comes out, and it's all really downer because they're dealing with some emotional thing. But you already know that you've had the last several albums that did not feel like Metallica. So it's one more thing of the same disappointment that you're already feeling. So you would have felt disappointment if it was just like the last 2 albums from Korn, as opposed to this totally different thing that Korn's doing, because you didn't like the last 2 albums.
As someone that hasn't listened to Korn since like the early thousands, to be like, I'm gonna come back. I'm really excited for this. They put out a single that was pretty heavy for Korn. It would be the same thing. Like Metallica put out Saint Anger, that was not good, and then they came back with Death Magnetic, and I was like, fuck yeah, we're getting there. Like, it's not the same. It's not Master of Puppets,
right?
But it's about as good as we're gonna get at this point.
But if it was like, we haven't had a new Korn album since 2001,
oh, that would be a way different story.
Right. And this is the first new Korn album. This is like the new Tool album. The new Tool album just came out, and it turns out that it's all harmonica based. They got John Popper to join the band, and him and Maynard are just kicking it, and Maynard's playing a banjo, and fucking that would be a huge thing to just say. Then why the fuck do you even call it Tool? But if there was a Korn album just 3 years ago, and there was a Korn album 2 years ago before that, and there was a Korn album like 5 years before that, it's not the same thing.
No. But like you're saying, so if they wouldn't, which I'm sure you don't understand, is Korn put out a dubstep album in there.
Oh God.
One of those records was dubstep because he was really big. He's buddies with Skrillex, and they got a little soft. So when they put out a single that sounds fucking super heavy for Korn, how are we? I don't even understand how we got to this topic, but why am
I'm
I?
going to make it very clear. I'm not the one who brought up Korn.
No, I know you. I'm just like, now I'm defending Korn. At one point in my life, I knew all the words to Twist, which is the song that has no words other than the word twist. But
Hey, can we take a quick break?
Yeah, of course.
All right. Just want to warn you before.
No, that's fine. Yeah, go do what you gotta do. I apparently can't type in the chat, so Beat and Levi, thank you for being here. I have to just word mouth my responses. I should maybe pee and get more beer. B-Master, you're kind of like you're like the podcast mom. Do I need another beer? Y'all want a single? I do. What band are we talking about? I like singles. New As I Lay Dying's pretty decent. It's As I Lay Dying, but it's As I Lay Dying after the singer was in prison for trying to murder his ex-wife. F that, F that, F what? What am I effing? Oh, a Korn song. Dude, that new Korn song, whatever the fuck it's called. Fuck, what is the name of that Korn song? Korn. I wish I could type it backwards. R. That'd be so much cooler. I think it's "You'll Never Find Me." It's a pretty banging Korn song. You don't want to single is old. All right. Was that off of Life is Peachy that time? I'm a fan of Tool. Have you heard the newest album? I've yet to pick it up. Levi, yeah, I did listen to the new Tool. So you and I'm sure you listen to this enough that you know that I fucking drive 5 goddamn hours for band practice. So our bass player and I always have very long conversations about new albums. I'm not a huge Korn. I'm not a huge Tool fan, but I understand that they're all very, very talented musicians. I think Maynard is a fucking douchebag. I have no respect for that guy. With that being said, I did listen to the new Tool. And about 6 minutes into the first song, when I got bored, I realized that if the song is not 12 minutes on that record, it is a 4-minute interlude, and I turned it off. They're very talented. It's not in my wheelhouse. I can't. If I want long, drawn out, and spacey, I'll listen to like Russian Circles. But yeah, I can't listen to Tool. I did not listen to him on Rogan because I have such little respect for him as a human being that I can't listen to him talk. Still, that's a fair review. Just curious. No, and like I understand that I'm being kind of critical. But when you're that big, like that would be like to me. So I'm a huge Metallica fan, obviously. That'd be like James Hetfield just being like, you know what, man, like I really like our fans, but they're beneath me, so I don't want to talk to them. And it's like, Maynard with his how he from everything to his stage presence, where he wants to be behind a sheet and behind a light and off to the side, and it's like I think he tries to put it in this shroud of mysticism and like everyone's equal, but goddamn well he fucking wants everyone to be like, he's just so humble that he's over there. It's like, fuck that, man. You're the front man. Do your front man duties. The singer of my band is a very humble human being, and he doesn't talk a bunch on stage, but he doesn't stand behind my drum set because he's like that. He fucking understands that he's the front. He's the voice. As I've said hundreds of times, dance monkey dance. Do your fucking front man duties. It's also like bands where the drummer sets up sideways. I don't hate it, but I would never do it. Like, I don't know what your end game is here, but yeah, now this is turned into like my one man rant. Yeah, talkative singers on stage are annoying as fuck. I saw Superjoint Ritual Ozfest 2005, 2006 maybe, and Phil and Selma talked more than they played, and that drove me nuts. But that's some people are into that, some people aren't into it. Yeah. I need you to ask more questions so that I'm not just sitting here because I gotta pee too. So Corey needs to come back, and naturally I'm gonna get more beer because my fridge is full. Just play your music. We don't want to hear you talk. Exactly. I do appreciate so like the last we haven't played a show in a while because we're trying to write more music, but the last show we played, one of the opening bands had an issue with the fact that our songs are political based, and like we're not political people, but we're adults. We're adults in 2019 America where politics affect us. Um so our singer has written from that standpoint, and I'm trying to be very diplomatic because I understand this is gonna be on the internet for the rest of my life. But um, the opening band were making adults. Yeah, I'm the youngest one at I'm now 34, but um, I'm not one to like push politics down someone's throat, but I understand that we're in a fucked up situation. Like our president is he's an idiot, and the country in itself is not in the greatest of place. So to write stuff makes total sense, and for our singer to give like a 2 sentence explanation of like, hey, this song is called this and it means this. That's different than like someone giving a 5 minute diatribe about why they ate a salad because they think the meat industry is corrupt, and now we're gonna sing this song about the color blue. Oh god, I'm just very gassy right now. I apologize. Yeah, I don't know. I just I don't know. I'm very much I try to feel music and enjoy everyone's art. So for you as an opening band to shit on me, I asked you to play this show. Not even I'm not beating around the bush. I asked that band to play a show with us because I had heard of them. I knew they were from the area, and I thought it would be cool for me to find out that you were shit talking us and a band that drove 10 hours just because you guys are 20 and we're 34 and up. And you don't agree with what we're saying? That's shitty, man. Like I didn't there are fucking hundreds of bands. I could have asked anyone. That's really disrespectful in my opinion. Are we gonna start an over under and if Corey's dead? I hope he's not. I love that guy, but bladder's starting to get full. Beer's running out. Beat and Levi stopped asking questions. Um oh, Beat we're playing again with them in October. Which I think is real funny. But whatever. But that BS is always around. It's a pissing competition. It always is, and it always has been. And we're we're not trying to be famous. And I know I've said this before. If you're a long time listener, but we're just trying to write fucking music because I want to forget that I have to pay my mortgage on the first of the month. So for you to then shit on what I'm trying to do to forget that I'm an adult is kind of fucking. I'm just trying to fucking play the drums, man, and forget that when I do it, I'm sore for 3 days. It's the worst. Don't be like Jason Lee and Almost Famous. It's been so long since I've seen that movie that I don't remember that. I don't get the analogy. Waiting patiently. I guess while I'm waiting for Beat and Levi to ask other questions and Corey to come back so I can pee and hopefully not die. The new As I Lay Dying record came out. Oh, he's the one that said, "How hard is it to make us look cool?" Dude. So to that statement, I was in a band. Oh, good, Corey's back. I gotta pee so fucking bad.
Yeah.
I was in a band
Sorry
one
about that, by the way.
No, never be. Up until like 30 seconds ago, Levi and Beat had been asking consistent questions to a point where I could just keep talking. But anyways, to Beat's thing here, I was in a band once where, and it was when I was 19. It was the first quote unquote touring band I was in. One of the guitar players was like, "Hey man, start working out. We need you to look like this so that we look cool in pictures." And I lasted about 8 months.
Hard rocking 80s, late 80s, might have even been early 90s. We had this band that my friend Paul was friendly with, and I actually took guitar lessons from the guitarist from it for a very short time, called Easy Access, which is itself just such an 80s hair band thing.
You're in charge.
Okay.
By the way.
All right. So
figure out how to turn off my camera and shit.
It should be right on the bottom of the screen.
Mine looks different than yours.
Anyway, so we went and saw them perform, and the band that opened for them, now this is just a